Right, hello there. It's currently morning after a night before, so I'm probably still a little drunk. But yes, why am I here? Or why are we here? I thought I'd do a review of some of the. I talk about watching sci-fi all the time. I thought I'd do my top 10 of sci-fi series. Criteria for picking this top 10 wasn't longevity, it wasn't how classic those series were or are. It's to do with how they keep my imagination running. In other words, once I saw one episode, did I want to see the next episode and the next episode, next episode until I've seen the whole series? Then I want to see the next series. So that's the way I've classified these as my favourites. There's no Star Trek in this, purely because one good thing that worked with Star Trek was that it kept the audience busy, while at the same time you could join the series at any particular time and watch one episode and it would be a standalone episode. Whereas what I class as really good sci-fi is you watch episode 1 and you can't put it down until you've seen series 10. So that's how I've done my classifications for this top 10. That meant that some classic sci-fi has fallen by the wayside as such. Right, we'll start at number 10. Right, number 10. What have I picked for you today? Well, number 10 is one that I watched last night, funnily enough, last in the series that I was watching. It's Prime Evil. Now, it's a British TV show. Premise is that gates within our world open up and link one period of time to another period of time, and that sometimes lets through people, creatures from the future, creatures from the past. Personally, a dinosaur running around a car park is always a plus for me. It's really, really good. The first series was absolutely excellent. Sorry, that's excellent there. But the second series wasn't that good, but the third series is brilliant. Second series lost it because they rejigged time, because when you mess with time, things can change, and I didn't quite like it. The characters are well written, the storylines are pretty good. Yeah, it's a really good series to watch, so if you get a chance, do get to see it. Right, number 9 is Eureka, predominantly for the Sci-Fi Channel. The basic premise of Eureka is basically a scientific community set up by Einstein and a few other fellow scientists for the benefit of mankind, but run by a private company. It's incredibly good as to effects, storylines, development of characters, etc., etc. I must say the effects are very, very good. Plus, it's incredibly funny. It's a sci-fi series you can laugh along with because some of the situations are absolutely hilarious. Another must-see. Right, number 8 is Day of the Triffids. Now, the video I've got here is actually from the remake, which was a 2-part, or was it 3-part series? But the reason it's on here is the original 1980s series, which went on for about 6 parts. Different, definitely a good series that you must see. Watch the 80s version before watching the remake, and you'll see a lot of it carries on, but they've developed it very, very well. That's why it's in this top 10. Saying that, the basic premise are a cosmic flare causes most of the people on the planet to go blind, except for a select few who just happen to not look up at that particular time. And at the same time, they've got a species of modified plants that move and eat, rather like a giant Venus flytraps and that sort of plant that go around stinging people and basically rooting them as such. And the remake's brilliant, but I think the original 1980s series was definitely worth seeing. Right, number 7. Number 7 I've chosen. This was a difficult one to put in because I had 2 or 3 that were just as good, but I had to choose. So I plumbed for Farscape. Basic premise of Farscape is an Earth astronaut flying an experimental craft in space, gets sucked through a wormhole to the other side of the universe, and it's basically his adventures with all the alien creatures that you could meet, and how he alters the balance of power while at the same time trying to figure out how to get back to Earth to save Earth as such. Very, very good graphics. Graphics so mint it's unbelievable. Definitely worth seeing. There are other series. You've got Andromeda. You've got various other series very, very similar to that. But this one just cuts it. It's a lot darker, a lot more adult. Very well polished. Some say the storylines tend to sink a little bit, but no, it's one you can watch, and you watch from day one and you're hooked. Right, number 6. What have I picked for number 6? I picked Babylon 5. Same premise as Deep Space Nine, which is basically a space station in space as a central hub for loads and loads of aliens and different people to meet together, to trade, discuss politics, etc., etc., etc. Brilliant series. The basic premise was a 5-year series with some extra films in. Watch it from day one. Watch every episode. Some episodes can stand alone, but generally it's the adventures of the crew. There's time travel mixed in there, and the plot line goes right to the end. And I must say there are at least 2 episodes that are worth awards in whatever sci-fi awards there are. There's one where they used 2 characters, background characters that you've never met before, and it's their views of life on the station during a running battle of all things. And the very last episode is a must-see. Definitely a must-see, especially if you've seen all the others and you watch the last episode. It is so well written, it's so well put together, the characters are so meted out. Brilliant, brilliant series. Number 5 is Sanctuary, or Sanctuary. Sanctuary is a fairly new series. Basic premise of Sanctuary is we live in a world where things are normal, but there's an undercurrent of what they class as abnormals, which is people, creatures, species with strange and unusual abilities, or look different, or a cross, like you could have a lizard man, etc. Werewolves exist, vampires exist. Basic premise, the basic startup is you've got 5 people who have partaken of ancient vampire blood, and are still around to affect society 150 years later. And they're keen scientific minds. You've got Nikolai Tesla, and also incredibly well written. It's a good follow-on series. I was recommended it a few weeks ago. I've now watched all up to series 3. Yes, series 3, cliffhanger. That's all I can say. I'm not going to do a spoiler in this one, but it's very dark, it's very Victorian, it's very but modern day Victorian, very much steampunk. It is classed as steampunk. Characters, at one point you can hate characters and see them as an enemy, next minute you love them to bits. Yeah, another definite worth seeing. Right, number 4. Number 4 is Tin Man. So the basic premise is a darker version of Wizard of Oz. All the basic characters are there, and you've got Tin Man isn't actually Tin Man. He's a law enforcement person. The Scarecrow isn't a scarecrow. He's an ambassador that's had his brain or part of his brain ripped out, and he wants it back. There's a lion-like creature. So they're all there. It's extremely well written. It's a lot darker. Some of the characters flesh out really, really nicely. The evil empress or witch, God, she's pretty. It's just incredibly well written, and I watched it from day one. It's a very short series, and it does end quite quickly, but another one that you must see. Number three. Why, oh, why did they only do 13 episodes of Firefly? I know they tried to tie loose ends up with Serenity, but why? Bring it back. Firefly, basic premise is humanity lives on several different planets around a core system. The planets are very, let's say, different. You get a mixture of high sci-fi and low Wild West, and that's the way I could do it. Think of Deep South US in the late 1800s with spaceships, and that's what it is. Basic premise: you've got a girl with special abilities, and her brother, and a crew of a ship called Serenity. Was it Firefly? No, it's a Firefly type ship, so it'd be Serenity. And their adventures trying to avoid the cops, as such. Definitely a must-see series, although there is only 13 episodes. Realism, brilliant. Effects, brilliant. Yeah, Firefly for the win. Number two. What is number two? Right. I put this bluntly. I am a very, very big fan of the Stargate franchise. A massive fan of the Stargate franchise. I have virtually every single episode of Stargate up to Series 9, including the film and the pilot episodes. I don't have 10, but I have seen it. There's a running joke that a lot of actors and actresses from Farscape do end up on Stargate. But that's not number two. Number two is Stargate Universe. Now, why have I picked Stargate Universe over Stargate? Quite simply, it's grittier. As I said, I based every single premise in choosing these sci-fi series on the ability to capture me at episode 1, and I want to carry on watching it hour after hour after hour, day after day after day, until I've seen all of them. Now, Stargate actually has quite a lot of standalone episodes, so you could tune in at any particular point, and you can get the plot, and you can see the stories. There's some brilliant stories there. But Stargate Universe, you've got to watch from episode 1. You can't watch single episodes. It's a lot grittier. It's a lot meatier. The filming's significantly different to the original Stargate series. And the basic premise is you've got a bunch of experts and civilians and military that have had to, I won't spoil this, but have had to go through a Stargate that's been dialed up to a ship that's not light years away, but thousands of light years away. And they've got on this ship, they're quite literally stuck on it, and it's about trying to find their way home, but at the same time trying to find out what this ship is doing that far out. It's obviously doing something. So plot lines, characters are so deep, and it changes. Again, it's another one where you can absolutely hate a character 1 minute and then love them the next. It's one of those series. Sometimes it can be a bit obvious as to where the plot line's going, but that's half the fun. Actually seeing, hold on, I know what's going to happen there. But yes, Stargate Universe, another one, but only reached 2. Right, number one. What have we chosen as our number one sci-fi series in my top 10? Probably going to be a bit obvious. I've mentioned a couple of series before, particularly with Stargate Universe. If you like the filming style of Stargate Universe, then you're definitely going to like what's number one. And what have I chosen? Battlestar Galactica, the new version. And on top of that, I'll also stick in Caprica, but mainly Battlestar Galactica. There's a lot of similarities between how Battlestar Galactica works in the way of filming and way of plot lines as to how Stargate Universe. You could see as Battlestar Galactica brought a certain type of filming to the sci-fi world, and others have picked it up, and that's where Stargate Universe has picked it up as well. So if you like the dirty, gritty, more realistic sci-fi, then both of these series are brilliant. I had to pick Battlestar Galactica over Stargate Universe purely because of plot. Was a fan of the original series, not the 1980 series, which is absolutely diabolical. But yeah, watch the original series, then watch this. The two are similar, but it's like twins that are not identical twins. So, basic premise, if you've never seen the original or the remake, is that robots are trying to destroy the human race from a galaxy far, far away. And it's basically the few thousand humans that have escaped, along with a lone starship or battleship, Battlestar, try and escape and find Earth. And along the way, they're harassed by Cylons, which are the robots. If you watch Caprica beforehand, it will explain a lot before you watch the original series. Every single episode has to be watched. If you miss the tiniest thing, you won't understand what happens later. Again, characters, there's some characters you can absolutely hate, then the next minute absolutely love. There's some characters you go, oh my god, yes, and the graphics are absolutely phenomenal. As I say, it's grittier, it's meatier, but yeah, there's a couple of things that make me really like it. Is when a ship jumps, as such, usually you get some stupid sound effect, and in space, no one can hear you scream. But with Battlestar Galactica, it is silence, gone, silence, back again. There's a whole fight going on, and you don't hear a thing because you're in space. The only time you hear anything is when they switch inside ships and stuff like that. The human-robot interactions is very different. Yes, and the last episode, yeah, it's probably the only bug in the whole series. I like it, but it's the only bug in the whole series that gets me. It's the one thing I don't like is the final episode. But hey, I've watched all the other series, including the extras, and that was 3 days well worth of my life. I won't be getting those back again, but I don't care. So, Battlestar Galactica is my number one. Do go out and see it. It's definitely a must. It's if you're going to see one sci-fi series in your life, that's the one. Thank you for watching my top 10. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the little videos I've done. As a disclaimer, all the footage that I've got are from trailers or opening sections from the original series that I chose. They are effectively advertisements. I'm doing a review here, so as my disclaimer, this is fair usage for review purposes, advertising your products. So if you complain, naughty.